morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yep. Good
Yes.
morning.
Excellent. Thanks, Joy. Forgive me, I was going to say this is the first time that we've done a Zoom meeting through a new link with the club so that any of us can join. So I'm really glad to see lots and lots of people on here already. And I'm going to have a minor struggle because I don't know if I gave John access to sharing, but I'm going to share. Let me know that you guys can start seeing what I've got on my screen.
I see it.
Excellent. Thanks, Joy. So welcome to the very first, this is really fun that we're getting to do this, iNaturalist ID-a-thon. This is obviously hosted, most of everybody that's here already is knows myself and John, but we'll give you a quick introduction here. We are recording just so everybody's aware, but I ask kindly because we are a volunteer organization, and this is of the things that we need to solve as we get into the new year. Currently, our YouTube account is hosted under Richard Jacob's private account, and we're working on getting that moved over to a club-owned account. So that's a struggle that we're going to go through, and hopefully, because we know we're recording this one, and we'll get this up within the next week or so. So jumping in, most of you are already aware of iNaturalist and out there currently using it, because I'm giving a quick skim over our attendees this morning and noticing a lot of familiar faces. A lot of you guys are already out there using it. But at the same time, like some of you may or may not actually know how iNaturalist works. We may have one or two people in the crowd that have never used iNaturalist. I did give you a quick opportunity here to grab the QR code and get going on doing that, but I don't think so. I think most of everybody's already out there using iNaturalist. Know that there is an iNaturalist for Android and for iPhone. There are two different applications. There's a lot of us within the club that are getting better versed on how to use that. But today we're going to focus a lot on using iNaturalist for desktop computers because it is super, super, super powerful. There's a lot of things that you can do that you might have not have known before. So if you haven't tried logging into iNaturalist for desktop, I can't highly recommend it enough. There's just a lot more features and a whole lot more that you can use as far as using the filters. Just a quick review, iNaturalist, basically what we do is we take some photos, you can also record sounds of an organism, and then as you upload those to iNet, you get a suggestion on your identification. And as you start looking within the community of iNaturalist users, which I think 100% of us in this meeting this morning already are, you get a research grade, which means that it's a community-based process. So we really go back in as a community and confirm or correct identifications. And particularly within the mushroom community, we know that this really needs to be done because we know that a lot of these things are AI-driven across the board within lots and lots of other identification programs, including iNaturalist. And those observations aren't always correct. So we want to get a consensus on the ID and then we know because iNaturalist has made this, there are lots and lots of science-based individuals that are using our data out there to do research grants, monitor global warming, various things all throughout, the entire science community. This meeting today is for existing iNaturalist users that already are, and I stole this sentence 100% from the iNaturalist ambassador program, to share the wonder of your observations with others. I know for sure that multiples of us are really, really excited to share what we find. I know I won't even take pictures. I won't even use my microscope unless I can take pictures of what I'm actually finding, because I depend on individuals like John to look at those spores and say, yep, you're correct, or whoa, you are way off base, girlfriend. So that's really, really important to me. But sharing your observations with others is a key element here. Um, and one of the big things that the iNaturalist Community Ambassador Program emphasized is, and this is so, so true, is we can't all be experts, and experts can't be everywhere. So they depend on us because we're out there at the right place at the right time looking at things, and iNaturalist gives that ability to share that information with tons and tons of people. For today's purposes, one of the big things from the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club perspective is we look at how vital that button program is. Lots and lots of us have earned our buttons. Some of us wear them, some of us don't wear them, but there's lots of people working on getting their first button or their next button. And I'll spend a minute discussing that button program and definitely look at explaining anything that anybody doesn't understand on that as we progress through the meeting. And that brings up a really great point, is that because we are such a small meeting, please don't feel like you can't unmute, raise your hand during the meeting, politely interrupt and say, hey, I have a question. Lots of times, big meetings, they say, put it in the chat. We do not have a big, huge body of people, but I will also have a question and answer session at the end if you're more comfortable. So then moving on, like if you're working on being a club identifier, we know that multiple people within the club are working their way towards being a club identifier. And I'll discuss this late in this slide deck this morning, that it's a little bit different being an identifier on iNaturalist versus being an identifier recognized by the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club, because we actually use the exact same term. But at the same time, and then I know also on our website, we can refer to as a walk leader. A walk leader is a slightly different person than an identifier. They're just somebody that, you know, lives in a local community, and says, hey, I've got a really great place to hike that I seem like I'm finding lots of mushrooms. I would like to lead a walk. And then we go, great, let's find you some identifiers. And then finally, like this morning, like there's lots and lots of us that are going, I'd love you to look at my iNat and say, get more of my identifications up to research grade, or understand why I'm not seeing why some of them are up to research grade. For those of you that are doing this for the very, very first time, and you are brand new to iNat, and even those of us that are way experienced at iNat, Julie and Sarah did a really great recording back in September. I can't emphasize enough how great that one is. It is on our club website. Feel free to take a look at that, because there's so many little tips and tricks that they wove into that. You know, that don't hesitate to go back and look at that. And as you get your notifications for meetings and various things within the club this year, I actually have a link for that built in for every single time we host something. This, you know, we get an email notification out to everybody. So there's never a bad time to go back and look at that iNaturalist 101 that they recorded in September. Oops, I do not need it to launch them. Go to the next page. Okay, so let me really quickly introduce John, because John is, if you didn't read the newsletter earlier this summer, John is one of the founding members that started the club way back in 2000. And John really started this Button ID program. And the official title of the Button ID program is the John Plishke III Award for Mushroom Knowledge, if you didn't know that neat little tip and trick. I always find that interesting because we just, you know, quickly shorten the words. But John was recognized in 2017 by the North American Mycological Association with the Gary Linkoff Award for contributions to amateur mycology. I can't emphasize that enough, just how much John gives back to the community. I mean, he's an author, he's a mycologist. Um, he is, yeah, a ridiculous wealth of knowledge and a very, very generous individual. And as of mid-December, John, you might want to jump in and give me your latest number here, but you had 24,000 observations on iNet. Are we still pretty close to that number? Yep, you're muted, John.
I haven't put many new ones on. I
Okay,
have 21 put on today.
Yeah, he puts on thousands in batches. And those of us that I just this year started assisting John in minor ways with doing some stuff that he's doing it much larger for you than the link off. You wake up in the morning and you go, oh my God, John just did, over 100 things overnight. And that's a daily event in John's universe. You guys all pretty much know me. I always find my stats kind of funny. That I only joined the club in 2021. I've been the membership chairperson since 2023. Link off 4A chairperson for the last 2 years. But I only became an identifier in 2023. And just recently joined the DNA committee, hence the reason why I'm assisting John on various things. And then just because I'm an absolute crazy person, as of this last fall, I became an iNaturalist ambassador. I'm going to enjoy retirement, basically, is what that means. Is I'm going to learn all kinds of crazy things, particularly on how to give back to the punk community. So that was of the reasons why I wanted to do that. The reason why we are hosting this as a special event today is because iNaturalist challenged us to. They are having this across the board from December 15th to January 15th. And again, like I had said just a moment ago, you don't need an expert to identify on iNaturalist. It is a totally different thing than being an identifier for the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club. So if you're out there looking at things and you go, yep, that's a turkey tail, you too can jump in and say, confirm that. And that sometimes helps lots of other individuals that are working towards their button program. So what does, like an ID-a-thon actually do for the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club? Besides the fact that we share all the wonders of our observations out there, you may or may not have noticed on the About the Club section of our website, you will actually see this scrolling little bot that runs there that if you plug in the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club project, which is the WPMC Western Pennsylvania Fungi Project, right there in the big orange arrow, and we'll talk about that multiple times during the meeting today. It will scroll up there and kind of brag to the other members of the club some of the things that you can find in. But a lot of what this project does and a lot of what bringing things up to research grade does is it keeps members motivated with actually seeing and measuring their knowledge. You will hear lots and lots of the new members go, oh, I got my 10 button. And you go, yeah, that's exactly what we want to see happen. It becomes a game for lots of us. It definitely helps build club identifiers and walk leaders. And it also gives us a way to track DNA specimens and regional information for reporting purposes. And that's really, really important to us. So going to this, the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club has a project. And you can go to that link. And if you guys would like, I can throw that link in the chat. But I think everybody that I'm currently aware of already that's here in the meeting today already is in that project. I see you guys on a regular basis in there. But you can go right on the main iNaturalist page when you're at your desktop computer and actually click on, and currently I think the one I have done was from my membership at westernpa.club profile, but you'll see that like you click on, and if I clicked on it, I would actually leave the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club project. But if you do it from your phone, you actually go into under your picture and look for projects, and then you can jump in. And I use the Devil's Hollow Conservation Area project whenever I had set up this slide deck. And you just basically click the word join, and boom, you're in the project. There is some really, really neat things that we will discover from today's meeting because we're doing this ID-a-thon. Currently, as of last night, we had 36,698 research grade observations on iNaturalist. And whenever Cicely pulls together the spring newsletter, I'll give you a shot of where we get by January 15th. I kind of wish I had done the screenshot whenever I first talked to John and said, let's do this meeting, because I think he's probably done easily at least 1,000, if not 2,000 in the last month. John gets pretty swamped during the fall because he goes to 4A after 4A after 4A. And then he doesn't always have time to go through and research grade our INAT. But those of you that are on INAT on a regular basis are probably aware that he jumps in on a very regular basis and will research grade every single observation in Western Pennsylvania. John, do you happen to remember how many you've done in the last? Because when you and I first talked about this, do you remember what the count was on the page? I don't know that we do. Don't forget to unmute.
I think on the club page, I did 1,000 the last couple days.
Right. I know that you've been working at it really, really hard. Now that lots of specimens have been sent out to my Coda lab. So let me spend a minute playing for you this little clip from Sarah's and Julie's iNaturalist 101. Regarding what is research grade and what does it mean, because it is really important to all of us.
Hey, Dawn, I'm not hearing audio on the clip.
I'm going to politely interrupt Sarah there, because this tends to be something that lots and lots of people get really hung up on.
Hey, Dawn.
If,
Sorry.
yes,
I don't think we're hearing audio on this clip. I didn't hear it, and then I think Joy also chimed in and said that.
Okay, I'm really glad that you raised your hand, and I was going to say, but I would have thought that this would have automatically launched the audio. Interesting. That's a setting that I'll have to look at for the next time, and then I'll just go through it verbally. But one of the things that Sarah had mentioned was that you will get a little green banner on your observation that says research grade. But the community agrees on a species level ID when 2/3 of the ID agreeers agree on the taxon. So if for some reason there is more than one person that says, jump in and says, I'm not sure if that's destroying angel, but I do know that it's an amanita. Oops, your research grade can get bumped back to only being traditional, just a non-research grade observation, until you get 2/3 of the identifiers to agree on it. And this is where some people, like, you're working towards that 150 button and you want to be an identifier and you're so close, and somebody just messed you up. I kind of want to put everybody's mind at ease on that particular thing. Don't submit to become an identifier if you just barely made it to 150. shoot for like 170, 180 observations, because that'll really help. But it also, it gives you so much confidence. And there's so many things that can't go all the way down to species level. But that's this important point here is that we've got 2/3 of the identifications on research grade. This tool is used to assess data quality, and it's possible that some observations may be research grade incorrectly, that you'll get someone, and I'm not going to say that I'm exempt from that, that you'll get someone will say incorrectly, no, I do think I know exactly which Rusula that is. And I'm going to good luck with the Rusulas. We all need a little help with the Rusulas. Whereas lots and lots of people will, go through and do that. And it's important to say this, and I'm going to say this probably more times than I need to. If you're doing an observation for somebody and you accidentally say that it's research grade, and then 6 weeks later, you learn a little bit more about that mushroom, don't hesitate to hop back in, and I refer to as eating crow. Eat crows. I made a mistake. Oops. I thought this was this on this date. And after I did some more reading, throw a hyperlink in the comments and say, I learned this. I actually have, within my iNaturalist, I've collected favorites, and I'll teach you how to do this. Anybody that wants to learn this, I'm not going to do that during this meeting because we could go into, years and years of teaching iNaturalist in one single meeting. That you can, I leave myself notes in there saying, I forgot about this. I learned this about that. These are some observations that have gone back to the same location again and again and again. Yeah, make yourself notes and save yourself some memos. I'm going to mute this for myself because I was going to say, let me see if I can pop to Sarah's next slide. That's it. I don't think she really did a whole lot. No, they ended up going into more of the app. So that actually worked out well. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Petey. That was great. I'm going to bring this up for those of you that are using desktop for the first time this morning. Play with this feature because if you haven't, the filters are exponentially better on the desktop version. That as you go into your iNaturalist, you can explore, you can go your observations, you can go into your own observations. There's a filter button over here in gray in the corner, and you can filter your research grade. You can do all kinds of things. And in this case, you'll notice that our project here has a number. And that's iNaturalist, their web coding behind the scenes. They actually use the Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club's project as a filter, which is 11556. That's information you really don't need to know. You can type in that particular project, but there's so much you can do with these filters. Real quickly, I want to go over the button program. The button program is obviously a great way of learning new mushrooms, getting members started, rewarding you as you get through and you get more progress. I've already mentioned we get identifiers and eventually mycologists out of the process. You have to have 500 observations and be approved in order to do that. But it really is a great way to motivate members to document what we know. The program started in 2009. We all, those of us that are in the club are aware that, you can get a kids one. We've got, the 10, 50, 75, all the way up. I think we can all the way go to more than 4,000 at this because of Kara last fall hitting her 1,000 button. We also, I do know that, there's been a couple people that joked around, we might need to do like a mushroom dogs program, and give them a button because we've got quite a few dogs showing up on regular walks. But club members can develop and maintain your own list. That's really what it boils down to. And know that you can tell how far you've gotten in the process on your research grade. I will do a real quick review because I can't emphasize this enough. Even iNaturalists themselves have brought this up to us. Mushroom observations in our on iNaturalist. If we can, please include a location, even if it's a general one. and include those photographs. It's really, really important. But when photographing mushrooms, please make sure you take multiple photos, including images of the underside or spore-bearing surface. And don't hesitate to throw an extra picture in there that's backed up. That's gonna include your tennis shoes, whatever it takes. But those ones really, really help a lot of us go, okay, you were in oaks or you were in a conifer location. That's a huge key to identifying our mushrooms correctly. When we're going into the button program, you do have to have your mushrooms identified to species level, and they have to be research grade, which unfortunately means lots and lots of those Russolas aren't going to count, but that's okay. The research green means that the club I can't see for a moment. Your research green means the club or an iNaturalist member, mycologist, or some type of identifier there agreed on your idea. Again, this is community based. When you reach your appropriate level, whatever level you want your button, submit your list to Julie. And it's button ID at WPA@mushroomclub.org. And I'll go over this right at the very end on how to submit that again. But yeah, we've got information out there on the website. I'm going to take a quick moment and go live because my husband was willing to be the victim this morning on his account. So somebody confirmed for me that you are seeing Matt's iNaturalist. Yep. Hey, thank you. Good thumbs up. Thanks, Isaac Mary. So my husband was willing to be the victim this morning. And I'm going to go through just one or two here of his, because I know for a fact that I'm looking at what he's calling oyster mushrooms here. Oysters, oysters, oysters. I'm going, are these? These are really, really teeny tiny. I'm looking through his pictures, but he's got some nice pictures. There's one's nice and clear. Why he included a picture of an ant, I'm not sure. He definitely got lost in the ant, but this was a key identification here. He not only showed me the cap, he showed me the surface that it was growing on wood, but then I can also see the gills that go all the way down to the base. And if I back out of this, I already said, yes, that's an oyster mushroom. But you'll notice he didn't get a research grade on this because we couldn't come to a consensus of which oyster mushroom. So it's not all the way down to species, but you can tell it's to genus. And those of us that have been doing this mushrooming thing for a long time, we just keep learning. We just keep learning again and again and again on these things. But I'm going to give a quick look at his wolf's milk here. And I know I was with him that he started off with it as wolf milk. It looks like it changed because of a taxon split. And this one, apparently I'm not logged in this morning. Let me log into my iNaturalist account. This one here is only going to, we are no longer taking that one all the way out to species level. So in that, we're going, okay, there was a taxon split. He is not getting a research grade out of that, even though right now I'm going to hit, I agree, because that's going to take DNA to get that one broken out until all the way to species level. Go back to his thing here. But you can see like his brick cap here, he got that one to research grade. And I'm going to look at real quick his white cheese polypore here, because that was one that as he was looking at it, he said, I know it's a mushroom. He gave it kingdom fungi. That's actually ridiculously important. And there's ways to go in to iNaturalist and use the filters and just go skim, keep looking for fungi. And someone will throw you into kingdom fungi if you have nothing at all, if it's just life. But looking here, it looks like Barbara went in, and if you haven't clicked on her picture before, there's our lovely, lovely president. She's gone in, she's gone, yeah, I know which one that is. That's the white cheese polypore. And those of us that know Dawn Wayman know that I like to smell this mushroom because I'm a little bit weird about this particular mushroom, but I'm going, yep, that's it. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And he should now have it as a research grade. So he just got a new research grade observation. I'm going to hop out of Matt's account just because I don't want to bore you with watching how we do that. But that's the basics of it. One of the tiny things that I want to bring up here, though, is that some of us have gotten into the habit, because it's a really great feature on iNaturalist, just to learn more. I can go to Matt's account and I can follow him. So that makes it so that particularly, and I think Joy and I had this discussion a long while back. I know Katie's one of them, Teresa's actually one of them. If I go to my own personal iNaturalist account, I follow a ton of people, and I do it because I get out every day. I'm also an identifier for the club. I like contributing, but it makes it so that I see you guys on my homepage, which is really fun for me to go, oh, where's Joy hiking at today? You know, what's she been up to recently? Giving her a look-see. But I also know that Joy's very likely to move forward in the club, as far as being maybe a different level of volunteer, or she may have aspirations of being an identifier. She may just be working towards her next button. And I'm going, oh no, I love helping you guys get through that process. So in that, I'm following her so that I'm not missing any of her observations if I can avoid it. I don't go on iNaturalist daily, except for during the season. During the season, I feel like I'm on there every 5 minutes. But you can, if you want somebody to follow you, or you want any of, I can't say enough positive things about Bobby, as well as Dirk Capo. They taught me tons and tons and tons of things about mushrooms. All it took was me saying, would you follow me? Would you watch me and keep an eye out for me until I hit my identifier badge. And even now, like as I'm working harder and harder towards lichens and slime molds, there's a couple of people out there that I've asked for assistance. It doesn't matter whether or not you upload a single picture or 1,000 pictures. We're happy to look at them. Shreve Poormeister uploads hundreds every day of all kinds of stuff, and it's kind of fun to see how people progress. John himself has had thousands and thousands of identifications on iNaturalist. He is the #1 identifier in the US, which is really, really cool. And this is where I'm going to hopefully successfully turn the meeting over to John and let him start into some of his processes here. So John, let's see if we can get you off and going. You're seeing the inside of John's lab there. John, you're still muted.
There we go. Okay, let me switch.
Yeah.
Sharing is not turned on. I said it
should have the controls now.
All right, share.
And I'm gonna hit stop share on my end.
All right,
we can see you go like, oh wow, my goodness, we got quite a turnout this morning. I didn't realize we had that many people lingering in the wings. Hello. Who's Cat M?
Is that sharing now?
I'm seeing you, John.
Okay. I guess a couple things I probably should go over. Like when we were looking at some of Matt's photos, when you were just showing his photos, I was like, I didn't see that some of those photos when I've been through those dates. And I was saying to myself, how come I didn't see them? And some were added to like the Linkoff foray, but they weren't added to the club project foray. And that takes forever. Like if you're doing it one at a time and you have 1,000 photos, that could take you forever to go back and do it. And I'll show you a way to do it all really fast. You can have it done in 3 minutes or something like that. So right now I'm at my home screen when I sign on. So what I want to do is I want to go to community. I'll go to the community. Projects. I'll search for the club project. WPMC. Find the Western Pennsylvania Club project. So then what I want to do is I want to click add observations to this project. That's the wrong one. It's a little hard sometimes. So go down below, add from your observations. And we get this add observation screen. And so I might want to click, I want to add, oh, I don't want to do a tree or anything like that. So I do mushrooms. And I'll add maybe slime molds, whatever I want to add like that. I can just pick. I'll take the slime molds off and just put the mushrooms on. And then I want to hit, let me see.
Batch edit.
Batch edit. Then I want to select them all. Select all. So what select all does is it'll put a check mark showing that I want to add all these pictures to the club project. I'm doing 200 at a time. So if you have less than 200, I'll do them all. If not, then you have to start, 200 to 400. And so I click them off. You don't want to deselect something, just go over here and uncheck it. It was the wrong picture. So once I click select all, they're selected. Then I want to hit, let me see where it's at. Add the projects. Add the project right there. Add the project. I'll just come down and find WPMC. Western Pennsylvania fungi, hit add. I think what I've taken lately was the winter mycoblitz. So I should have about 19 photos. We'll see how many load up. If your photo's already on there, it won't re-add it. Hope it added 30 photos to the WPMC Western Pennsylvania Mushroom Club. And if you go over, if you don't have all your photos on, you can get them on really, really quick that way. So if you have more than 200 photos, then what you need to do, I just did the first, whatever my first 200, you just go to next and it'll show you. There's more to do. You just hit next and you keep doing it till you put everything you have on. And if you want to add them to a different project, you can add them to, whatever you want to add them to. All right, that's how you add your photos to the project. Let me go out of here. Back to my home screen. Profile. All right, let me go to the slideshow. Projects up. So we're going to look at some people's observations. Let me get the link. I have a link somewhere. Always. What slide number are we on? We are on
21.
21. Okay.
Note that John and I are not anywhere near as smooth as Julie and Sarah. For those of you like keeping score out there, we try.
So if I want to identify, let's go feel volunteered. So I identify. Then I'll hit filters. I'll click casual research. More filters, person. Did it work? Uh-oh.
It's Marissa.
How do you
spell her name for you?
Yeah.
I was going to say, Marissa, you in the meeting? Marissa.
I need a little bit more, I think.
K-O-L.
What? K O L.
You know, I was gonna say, oh, I apologize, I wasn't looking. Her profile is, she is PGH Hiker Gal.
What is it?
PGH
PGH. I got it.
HIKER. There she is. There she is.
Update. And filters, I just want to do mushrooms and slime molds. Update search. And there's the pictures that I haven't looked at already. So right now there's what, 14 pages of pictures. If I go to the filters and did what reviewed, I looked at 24 pages of the pictures that I put some type of identification on, and I still have 14 pages of 30 to do. Sometimes I skip one because I can't remember the name. Like if I'm looking at this one, here's one that says it's identified as hare's ear. That's probably the common one in the mushroom book. I was thinking to myself, I don't think that's the mushroom. I don't think it is a hare's ear. I think it's an otidia, but I don't think it's that one. But I'm not sure which one it is. So I'm going to do a couple of advanced ID things. I'm going to try to open up another window, see if it'll share it in front of this one.
That's working, Sean.
And Naturalist. Then I want to go to my dashboard. I want to drop down to the bottom. I got to find an ops. There's a lot of hidden tricks on iNaturalist.
That's
And
for sure.
I'm going to find one that has DNA on it. Right here. Here's one of my photos that has DNA. So I'm going to go view this observation. And I want to see this chart that says DNA barcode ITS. So I want to click on that, and it will say observation with this field and value, or just with this field. So I just want this field. I want an observation that has DNA. So I click that on. Then I might go, it's called OTIDEA. So then I'll go to the filters. Maybe top, put a top. So we have what we have over 100,000 DNA photos. We'll type Otidia. Otidia. And now we have 108 observations that have been DNA tested. Then I might go to filters, place, Pennsylvania. Go to Pennsylvania, update search. And we have 17 observations that have been DNA tested across the state. And some of the ones that have UNICISA is the one I'm seeing that has the results. That's the only species that's coming back as. So I look at the page behind it. I know it's not that species, so I probably just want to go to this DNA tested one. Copy the name. And then I want to come to the other page, add ID. And I might put a comment, like that. So put comments if it's something you want to tell people why you're changing it. I might type in Pennsylvania, all Pennsylvania, all PA collections. That had DNA came back as this. And I'll put the reason why I'm changing it to something else. And it updated. So that's a advanced way to get an ID. If you want to know, how to do something or what it was, or you're not sure. And like if you're hiding in Cook's Forest and you find a mushroom up there, the club goes up there and we have the link off for it. There's a lot of DNA testing stuff. So you can see, oh, that person found something at Cook's Forest. I think there's a couple of species of that. What grows at Cook's Forest? And you can find out. And you can be pretty sure on your ID, but that's like an advanced way to identify on iNaturalist. So, I might just go through the regular ones. Let's start looking at some of these. Honey mushrooms. So I might blow it up. Oh, that's brighter. Does it have a ring on the stem? Looks like it's in Florida. The desert malaria now. Desert malaria, and then we have Tibescens is what's in our books, but we found out that's not a species that occurs here. We only get this one. And do the ringless honey mushroom. Another thing I could tell, we might see some of them, is when I'm looking at the IDs, you see like leading, you see this little symbol over here that looks like a little phone. Some of these symbols tell us if they identified it themselves or it was an AI identification on iNaturalist. I was looking yesterday for somebody at one of the mushrooms and trying to find out how many occurrences there was, and 90% of the IDs on iNat came from AI. So you might be more skeptical if it was an AI ID. Southern Cinnabar polypore. I think that might be one from Australia, but I'd have to check. I'm going to skip on identifying that one.
John, not to interrupt you, but this is a really, really good point. Even John, with his level of expertise, and the number of mushrooms that he's done, if you don't know for sure what it is, don't hesitate. Just skip it and say, that one's out of my realm. It's perfectly fine for every single one of us to say, I need to learn more or I need to do additional research.
Yeah, I skip a lot, It's not certain. It's not because I haven't looked at your picture. I might not be certain. Like this Conicon here, I'm thinking it's Tremedius sanguinea, but I guess probably one of the ways, let's see if we can tell this way. We go to Conica. I don't want to do that way. Let's do a different way. Let me copy it. Copy it. And I'll open another iNat window. Let me open one and see if it drags over. This is my new iNaturalist window up now?
Yep.
Okay. So with it, go to explore, put the species name in. And I see like, they're using it here too. But sometimes I'll see different species that only in Australia. See a lot of Australian ones. I think AI, a lot of times they suggest stuff doesn't occur in our region. I'm wondering, I think it's probably Tremedius sanguinea. But you get just identified wrong all through here. We get one called Russula cremacolor. You go on iNat, it'll show any red Russula in the wintertime. That's what the AI puts on it. It doesn't grow in the eastern United States, but the AI just does it wrong. I can't tell for sure, but I think it is maybe at ID. Does look thick. Pretty thin. I think it's a pretty thin mushroom. It's much thinner than ours. Tremedius sanguinea. But I think, I'm not quite positive. I think that's what it is. I've seen that one in Florida before. More common in warmer areas. Bracket fungi. Maybe. Can't tell if that's it or not. Usually I see this one at the bases of oak trees. It looks like it's against some type of wood. I just can't see enough detail. Bluet. I look at the bluet, sometimes I'll scroll through. It could be a court. You want to say, said a little bit of a cretina on there. I'm not sure. I see any, looks like I see rust on the gills. I'm not sure of that one. I'm skipping it. It could be a bluet.
So noting while you're in there, John, on that bluet, I mean, one of the big reasons why we're hesitant and cautious, particularly on things like bluets, is because you don't want to accidentally misidentify something that's an edible, which is a bluet, with Cortinaria iodes, which is toxic. So exercising caution is, really, really, really important when you're looking at those particular ones.
I'm thinking it's probably a quirk because it might be a Cortina that we're seeing close up there. And I'm looking at the stem. I see some rust on the stem. It looks like a rusty spore print on the stem. The bluet should have a whitish colored spore print. We shouldn't see this rust on the stem. But I'm not 100% certain, but I'm thinking that could be a quart. I'm going to skip it. I can't remember the name of that. I've DNA tested like 5 times, and finally I got a name. I can't remember it. Colorado, Margin Ada. Not sure. Oh, where's I at? I lost my place. Okay. I know we don't have, I don't think we have Hebeloma cruciforme. I can't remember what ours is, but all the books use this name, so I think probably the best thing to do, I'd have to, for that ID, I'd probably have to go back to iNaturalist, maybe type in Hebeloma, and the species of Hebeloma with DNA testing that we get on is Lexini. We have a cruciforme? What? I guess we do have it. I didn't think we had it. Well, I'll pass on the Hebelomas. They're just pretty. Have a
But
number.
this is where one you could agree to family or genus level and not necessarily go all the way down to species.
Yeah, I don't want to agree to gene. I don't like to do that to people. I don't like to take if they have an identification. I'm not sure. I don't like to take it out because then they lose the species. If I'm not sure it's not that. So sometimes I'll just skip. Icena. Sure, that's what I see there. Sarsaparilla. Sometimes I just go through. I'm not sure. That's probably right. Family, I'm gonna blow it up. I guess it could be. I put agree and I put a comment. Could be a little bit older. Could be probably it, but could be like a Whittier or something too. I'm not positive. What do we see on that? Trying to look for the chicken fat colors.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that a little bit of red in the cap? Looks
Yeah,
like a little bit of red there, yeah. And this is why taking really, really good pictures is so important. Like take a minute, pause, throw out some of your blurry ones before you post them. Actually, take a moment to care. But it really helps individuals like John and myself a ton.
Dawn, can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Yes.
Please.
Particularly when you're working on boletes, and I'm not good at boletes. So
Welcome to the club.
I found one in the field. I just identified it to the bolete family till I could get back later and look at it more, like look at it and talk. I talked to Josh.
Right.
And so then I changed it to something I was more comfortable with. If I wanted it to get looked at by you, like, do I comment on in a tag with you guys? And what is particularly important with boletes? I get the top, I get stems, I get the bottom of the cap. Is there any other data collected
yeah, I was
to
gonna say
help
you've got
ID
the
a
spore
bolete?
bearing surface. Definitely get the stem because we're looking for reticulation. If you can slice it, cut it so that you've got the bruising, that's huge. if you have reagents and want to go through the reagent process, putting the reagents on there, boletes are particularly difficult. And I know even talking to Arlene and Alan Bissett, if you want to go crazy, you can whip out a stopwatch and time how long that bruising takes. I do know it's Kevin Hoover over at the Central Pennsylvania Club is building another Pennsylvania-based information specifically on the bicolor boletes, trying to get those even more done. But boletes are particularly difficult. So absolutely every bit of information you can give is important.
Yeah, like if you want to get help, like on this one, you can get help, you can put at and type the user's name. If you wanted to ask to help. I don't usually get to those. I don't see them all. I might answer a few. I have like, I don't know, 2,000 pages of INAT notifications on my Facebook I got to look at, but I get too many. Like if you look at let me close this page real quick. Right up top on the top corner, you can see I have 10,000 notifications from the last week. It maxes out at 10,000.
Yeah, and Jessica, thank you.
I get too many just because I have so many IDs on INAT, and I have like 500 people who email me every day or message me on there, and I can't catch them all.
But I wouldn't do that to you, but I get Jessica's point. I didn't slice this one, and I should have sliced and photographed it.
But if you like Facebook me or just email me, I'll go on and look at all your stuff. It doesn't matter. I just can't see the messages up there.
No, I dropped this one in the chat. It's the only one.
And if you want to do boletes, a lot of times, a lot of these groups, like at special mushrooms, I'll know who the specialist is. If you get something really rare, I might tag a specialist and ask them. If you don't know who the specialist is, like if you're doing boletes and you say, nobody's helping me, the place you want to do is probably not use iNaturalist. If you can't get any help on there, you want to go to Mushroom Observer. And you want to post your bolete on Mushroom Observer. And I guarantee you, if you put your bolete on Mushroom Observer, there's a guy on there named Igor. And he will be on your boletes. That's all Igor cares about is boletes. That's all he does. He's from New Jersey, so he'll know all the Eastern boletes. And you put it on Mushroom Observer, you will get the bolete identified. So that's a special way to get, extra help. I'm not sure who on iNaturalist, you got for bolete people at iNaturalist, you probably got Mushroom Dave. Using again Bill Yule's on iNaturalist too, that gives the bolete talk for the club different times. He's on iNaturalist, so you might want to tag Bill Yule if it's a bolete.
And I think he goes by Bolete Bill.
Yeah, Bolete Bill. So you go to your bolete photo and put at Bolete Bill, and he'll see that when it comes up. So you got a couple of bolete specialists on there that you can get help from. I used to have a list of who to contact, but I don't keep it anymore. It's hard to remember. It's hard to even remember people on here. If I want to look up a certain person, half the people on iNaturalist, maybe more than that, don't use their real names. I'm like, what is that name? What name are they using right now? Or they changed their names. So where did we leave off at? I was going through somewhere in here. Right here.
So while John's looking at that next one, one of the very, very last slides we're going to bring up is how to contact John. John just said send him an email. I'm going to disagree with him. And I say that out of true love. But I was going to say, send him a message on Facebook Messenger is a pretty reliable way to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
And then within iNaturalist, it's pretty neat. Those of you that may not have tried it, there is an inbox. You can actually send him a message through his iNaturalist inbox. And if it's an iNaturalist item, as opposed to will you come guest speak for our organization, that's a great way to get John's attention. The other thing John just mentioned was various individuals. And once you get going on identifying on iNaturalist, you'll see John's got 6 windows open. It does become a little crazy. But at the same time, you go, this is how you learn. And this is one of the major ways that you go, oh, look, like, John, can you go back to that hairs here for just a brief second? You can say, this is one that I might want to start collecting for DNA. Because a lot of people ask that DNA question and they say, is this one we should be collecting for DNA? I'm similar to John. I started a list. I have a little list of who were the people that I could go to all the time. I personally love Jan Thornhill regarding slime molds. But I know she doesn't have the time for me. She's an author. She teaches, there's lots and lots of people out there that you can get help from. And they have a different level of busy. But this is a perfect one that you go, ooh, the next time I see hairs here, I might want to collect that one for DNA. Dehydrated, throw it in a Ziploc bag. The whole, how you're going to submit things for DNA, all going to change come spring. For those of you that haven't been following that crazy thread out there on Facebook. But yeah, we're definitely going to be DNAing a lot more because we're finding a lot different results once we DNA things that are regional, that are specific, that are things that morphologically we thought were this, and we're finding out, nope, it's that. So back to you, John.
Yeah. Under pigs. Oh, I guess. Look at the size. Sometimes I look at the size. Like this is a pretty small mushroom with a skinny stem. I'm going to disagree just because as a skinny stem, I think it's like Hairy amethystia. Amethystine right there. I'll put stem. If I'm disagreeing, I'll put Y. Stem is very thin, not thick. And what else? I'll put and small. The other one, that Lecteric orchiperia, has stems of the mushroom usually as wide as your finger, and usually it's it's a pretty big mushroom. So I put the reason why I disagreed on that one. Next page. So I didn't get through many of them. I don't. Sometimes some are just hard. That dead man's finger, I'm not sure. Could be, but I'm not positive. It's a state I don't recognize. There's a lot of dead man's fingers. Alaska, yeah, I think that's that. Grassy. Not showing the Dacromycetes. Ring polypore. May 7th. I think this is a Bavista. I put that before. That's what we've been finding. When I've got morel hunting, I've been finding Bavistas now. Usually we don't see regular puffballs in May. So I'm actually going to put Bavista.
And this brings up another good point is as you are collecting, finding, uploading them, uploading your observations relatively like during the season helps tremendously. I know I saw someone online this morning that had basically done a giant catch up from the last 6 months. And we all understand how busy we get and how swamped our phones get. And, it's the last day of what I call Christmas break for even those of us that are going back to work tomorrow, that you go, oh, we're trying to play catch up, and you go through and you catch up in big, huge quantities. It's much easier when your brain is actively in spring season seeing spring mushrooms, and you're in summer season, you're seeing summer mushrooms. It's just easier on people to identify.
So I'm looking at this Piazza. I don't see a lot of distinctive, sort of wrinkly in the middle. I'm not sure if there's a site called Asco France that people use to put their Ascos on there. And if you put a PIs on there, they'd want you to do the all sorts of microscopy picture with spores and different things you'd have to photograph and maybe do it under a certain chemical. And they'd tell you it was impossible to identify this piezo without microscopy. So I'm not going to agree, disagree. I'm just going to skip it because I can't identify it, more certainly. Has to be Pracox. It's other grass to be. I'm not sure. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to disagree. But like this one here that we saw, now and they might be two different ones. I don't know. It's definitely not sure if it's. Usually I see Candomycetes, this the one that's in the ID part. I see that growing on wood around like stumps and stuff like that. In the grassy areas. This one's in the woods, so it could be a different one. I don't know. Thinking this is probably Sarsaparilla. Candomycetes, like that one. Like me copy the spelling. I'll put a comment on it. I'm not going to change the name. Candomycetes or I'll put that. That's what I'm thinking. Sometimes I won't change it, but it's definitely a Persola, but I'm not sure which one. I think this Scotus is supposed to be the vein cup. It does have a little bit of veining. Veins in the middle. It's April. Yeah, let's do this Scotus. When I type in ID, sometimes if you don't know how to spell something, you could type in the first three letters of the genus and the first three letters of the species, and usually it'll pop up. Sometimes I'll copy it and I'll put V. Oh, there's a vein cup. That worked. Oh, these morels are really hard. April, we know it's a yellow morel.
John just showed a really neat feature for those of you that weren't quite maybe paying attention. When you're looking at it through the identification feature, you can actually like increase the brightness, increase the contrast. You can zoom in, zoom out. There's a whole lot of little features. And I think right above that little brightness, contrast, you can pop it to full screen, which sometimes really helps.
So, Kiva, reason why it's much smaller. And Escalena is usually the base of the cap goes out like the bottom of a Christmas tree, like sort of like that. This one's sort of more sloped. So that's what I'd call it. It's a smaller morale.
And you'll notice, I was going to say, I'm going to bring this up real quick here, John, and we'll eventually get back to that picture. iNaturalist is working on a feature, and they haven't released it yet. That's going to give us prompts for how to take better pictures, particularly morel or mushrooms. I know they're going to for sure be prompting us to take pictures of the cap, end stem, and underside. But you'll notice Microprof back on that back page there had made the comment of, what trees were in the area or what size was it. These are really, really tricky little things. And I know as you get into different people in the DNA community, I'm noticing more and more of them carrying a ruler with them or some type of grid to get even better, determination pictures on there. John, would you mind scrolling down just a tiny bit there to, because I think, yep, that's Shannon Nix from New York. Just what trees were in the air based on size looks like it's probably diminutiva. Yeah, and I would agree as well. Yeah, the diminutiva and the yellow morels look the same-ish until you get something in the picture for scale.
Yeah, the tulip morel goes under tulips. It grows under a lot of other types of trees too.
Right, right. Can you scroll up just a little bit? So right at the moment, you'll notice that that one's still saying needs ID because she does not have a 2/3 consensus. If Marissa were to go back and retract her identification where it says yellow morel, there, she can retract it by using that pull down arrow and switch it to diminutive, and then it'll switch over to research grade. So.
Look, they hid there. You can see they obscured their observation, so you can see maybe what county it came from. Can't tell.
Yeah, if you want to go through on how to obscure an observation, I know that Julie and Sarah included that. But particularly those of us that are hunting our morels don't always want to give away our morel location. And you can obscure the observation.
I usually don't obscure anything. All my stuff's pretty good.
That's because you have a very generous heart.
But I can tell you, we should talk about obscured. So one other thing we can do real quick, I don't want to leave too much, but so we copy the person's name. And you see how this is obscured. I'm going to teach everybody what not to do if you obscure. If you're going to obscure your morel identification, you may as well just obscure everything you found that day because we're going to try to find the spot. So I'm going to click on her name. It is what, April? Oh, the date is hidden too. Never mind, I won't be able to do it. She's got a picture. If they showed me the date, a lot of times I'll go on there and I'll pick the date on because it's unlikely that they're at 5 parks. And I'll look at the time. And a lot of times it'll have the April and have the timestamp. So I can go on to iNat, put their name in, put the date in, show me all the pictures they took this day. And I saw the one they took at 12 a.m. and the next one's at 10:15 a.m. So you can figure out what park they're at. But this one is actually obscured enough I can't figure that out. But if you have
is there anybody in the meeting that would like somebody to go through that particular statement slower? Because John just revealed like a huge secret to basically stealing somebody else's morale. And I will honestly say I am guilty of going back to the car, laying all of my morels out on my tailgate and giving you what park I was in, but I'm not going to tell you exactly where in that park I'm at looking at morel. And it is one of the secrets out there, but I can tell you 100% because I have a red list item that I had multiple people go and try to find my red list. And what I was going to say, and I was Teresa saying, you can wait to upload it to a later date. Actually, that trick may or may not work. You actually have to go in and change the metadata on your photograph if that's how it's doing it. Or you can go into the manual settings in iNaturalist and change your date by a day or so. But yeah, Teresa, if you want to take yourself off mute and vouch for that, you're more than welcome to.
I mean, the other trick is if you're just doing your morels to get that counted in your count, you can do what I do, which is go to conservancy land where you're not allowed to harvest them and record them so that you can ring the bell. Woo-hoo, I saw morels, and then not record the ones that you're harvesting.
But that won't stop people from picking them though, because I'll pick mushrooms where you're not allowed to pick. I have nothing against that.
Come on, John, this is a recorded meeting. Don't be saying that out loud.
Well, I do science. I don't consider myself a criminal. I'm giving them the DNA. I'm not doing it to eat.
Okay. Well, we can go with that.
My rule, I like to say, is I'm picking mushrooms. A lot of people say, go ask permission. And sometimes I might do that, if I was after an edible mushroom. But, what if they say no? If I'm going and there's a giant puffball in somebody's yard, my rule is if it's the puffball is closer to the road than their house, then I'm getting out, I'm jumping out and taking it because I can get to the puffball and back to the car before they can come out and get me. If it's right next to their house, I don't want to go get yelled at. Plus, you don't want somebody to think you're breaking in or something like right against their house, but it's closer to the road. Yeah, go take it. They wanted it, they would have picked it.
Would the real John Plishke please stand up?
I've done that before. I don't pick too many edibles now, but I've done it. All right, next one show. Where are we at? Right here. Got that page off.
If anybody else would like to be John's next victim, please feel free to drop your ID in the chat.
Julia Cannula, that's right. A lot of times, if the AI does it, it might call it a different Zydia resica might be the name. That's a European Zydia. So I'll double check to make sure it's our Eastern one, and that's done right. I think this is the old European name or some other name that we used to use for hexagonal pored polypores. The most common one we have here now is Americana. That's what I'm going to put now. Americanus. And actually, I think we have 3 DNA tested species. We have like one called AD5. There's Americanus, and I forget the third species that we get here. But I don't think you can tell them apart by looking at them. It's only by DNA. So we're going to go with the most common one. Verpiconica.
I found a Verpa. Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it looks good. What was that? April 26th. Okay, the 26th. Went earlier. Verpiconica. The Verpiconica. I don't see a lot of those. That's a pretty nice find. Giant saddle. Yeah, I can't tell if it was on wood or soil. Somebody asked what was attached to the ground and loose in a ball. Yeah, I can't tell much, so just agree that's what we can tell from that picture. Blistered cup, it could be. I'm gonna skip it. Gold polypore has looks like it is. Yo, that looks good. Skip the piazza. Epitheria, I'm not certain. Not certain on that either. That's Poor Savoy in the middle. Look at the area, Whittier. I think that's Tubiferia. No, skip the next page. Luminosa Panaeolus. Oh, if you want polypores done, I should mention Ariel. You see Ariel on here. She does a lot of IDs. She's a great polypore identifier. So if you have a polypore, you probably don't even have to tag her. I'll be on it. She'll go right on it and have it identified. And she's hunted here in PA a couple times.
Yeah, I think she's currently like #3 in the country. She's really, really good.
And one of the nice things about Ariel, unique about her, which is really cool, you friends with her on Facebook, every state she goes to, she goes out and mushroom hunts, and she goes, she's probably been to 20 states or more, and she finds a mushroom that she's found in that state, and she gets a tattoo. So she wants to get a tattoo of a mushroom that she's found in all 50 states. And in Pennsylvania, when she was here over the spring, she found Phalogaster sacchatus, which is like a pink stinkhorn that looks sort of like a puffball, and it's green on the inside. So she just got a tattoo of Phalogaster sacchatus from down near going toward Gettysburg.
So John, you have 3 other individuals that are willing to go live on their account.
Well. And what anybody do today is just email me or Facebook me or do whatever, or and your iNaturalist username, and I will go through every single photo, no matter how many you have on there. It might take me a day or two, but it'll be done. You know, it's not an issue to me. I like to sit there and do 1,000 mushrooms a night, so it's not a problem. All right, so let's try a different person's name. Okay.
So you've got M. Oh, go ahead and exit out.
Okay, identify.
You've got Laughing King 3. He's a nice easy one to spell.
Okay, more filters.
Like the third. Yep, there you go. 1, 2.
All right.
I think that's Isaac, isn't it?
Filter.
Yeah, I see. I saw a thumbs up there. Thanks, Marlene.
I'll just do the fungi. I don't think I put in. This is one I think that this is what the witch's butter is parasitic on, the Preniporus cinera. So usually these crust mushrooms are really hard to ID. But if you see tremella mushrooms, these orangish jelly mushrooms, all tremellas are parasitic on something. So if you find a tremella, if you can identify the tremella, then you look on the log and you can often identify what the host is. And I know that this is one I can one of the few crusts I can recognize easily. Now I see which is butter attached to it. Split gill. You see these are you see the little symbol there? I don't see an AI. Wait, yeah, there's no AI, so these were manually identified. There's AVI Mike. Mike wrote a couple books with Alan Bassett. I can't remember what mushrooms in North Carolina, maybe. There's a couple different books. He's a real good identifier on here. Film. This is California. I think I agree, but I'm not sure which one. They got like 3 common species of that out there that grow. Kind of. Belum in California.
So when John's looking at the California mushrooms, and John, I don't mean to speak for you, but it definitely, you start getting into going, is this in my region? Am I the best, most knowledgeable person to say this? And I did this just recently with a friend in Portugal, because I haven't seen him in 30 years. And I'm going, nope, I can tell you that that's probably a Copernellus or a Caprinus species. Like I could give them some big, huge generalizations, but at the same time, IDing outside of your region should be done with caution.
Yeah, mushrooms in California, over half of them are different than what we get here. Like here, if I found an agaricus in the grass, like, you got a meadow mushroom or a horse mushroom, I'm more than likely to eat it. If you go to California and you got agaricus in the grass, over half of them will make you very, very sick. So you get away with some things in different parts of the country you can in other areas. And this one, I agreed with it, but I think they just split lion. They're just splitting the lion's mane up into a number of them. And I gotta pay attention to how you tell them apart. But it's one of the bearded tooth mushrooms. Bonnets, some Mycena. Let's see. I think it's Mycena, I don't know which one. And it's hard to learn. Like I do probably know 20 or 30 or more, maybe more than that, Mycenas. But they have whole books, just nothing but, monographs, nothing but Mycenas. So it can be a hard group to do. Area. Where we at? Oakmont.
Isaac, are you working towards a button or becoming an identifier,
Ooh.
just out of curiosity?
Yeah, we haven't uploaded anything. We haven't uploaded our observations to the button tracker yet. But we were planning to next time we had a meeting coming up.
Right. So as John's looking at this on this screen, I'm looking to see if it is in the Western Pennsylvania project, but
Oh,
he really, I was gonna say, well, I'll recap this as we get toward the end, like put things in our project. It really, really makes a huge difference.
yeah, yeah, I don't think it's, wait, let me see. Let me click on it. I clicked on something around. Hold it. Go back. Is it in our project?
I didn't put this one in our
Oh, yeah,
project.
it's not.
It's in
Yeah.
Oh, that's Ohio. That's Ohio anyway.
Ohio, so
And I have noticed a couple people have managed to squeak in a couple of them that are in like North Carolina and Florida in our project. I need to dig into our project and who set up our project
Yeah,
to figure out how those might be
yeah,
able to be bumped out. But they are from way back in like 2018.
yeah. Like this one here, you can see it's PA, but it's not in the project. But I showed you how to batch it. So you just go on, like when I showed you how to batch them all, if it's in the project, it won't put it in there again. And you can just go and batch, and you can have everything you have that was, put a filter in, found in Western Pennsylvania. It'll batch everything up in 3 minutes. It's
Right. And if the project is set up correctly, you may or may not get a notification that says these cannot be added to the project because they're Western Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, because they're Ohio. Like it just won't add it to that project. It's not a big deal. But you can use that batch setting really, really good to go in and get things way caught up.
yeah, I think I mean, we only started mushrooming in, was it April or
Yeah.
May? We were unsure like what what was kind of like appropriate to add to the
Sure.
project. Because originally I was just uploading things that got research graded. I didn't know if it was like just upload blanket everything or kind of what the protocol for that was.
And this is why we kind of really emphasize like don't feel like you need to become an identifier in 15 minutes. iNaturalist is wonderful in many, many regards, and there's a learning curve in other regards. And taking your time and learning, all the little nuances is fantastic. I'm curious to see what John's going to say on this one. I'm like, my gut instinct would jump, and I'm going, oh, and what does the John Plischke say? See, I would have been wrong.
the only reason I was saying orange mycena is because the Hygrosity miniata grows on the soil only, and this is on a log. I could tell it's on a log. Well, I can't tell if it's a beach log or not. That I usually see the Mycena leonos on, but it's braided gills. It's on wood, and the Hygrosties are never on wood. Not on wood. So I think it's a Mycena leona, and I should put a comment. Sometimes I don't, but or I just edit this one. Ooh, comment. Growing on wood. Never. So I put growing on wood. That's good enough. I think it's orange dome, orange cap, orange gills. Yeah. And then you gotta go out of this page. Go to moratorium. Not certain. There's the Amanita. Has the purple. I look for the purple on the cap. Sometimes it doesn't have to be purple, it can be yellow. We used to we used to say in the books, like if you have an older book, it might say Amanita citrina. Then it might say the tell citrina away from lavandula. You look at the cap, and if the cap turns like violet color, it's lavender color, it's lavandula. If it doesn't have the purple on the cap, and it's a China. And I was at the Cape Cod foray, one of the nymph forays in Cape Cod, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And Rod Tullis, the Amanita expert, was there. And everything came in the first 2 days. We called it all Citrina. Then the third day it frosted up on the Cape, and everything had the purple colored caps. And so then we called it Lavandula. Then we figured out, it can't be all yellow ones the one day and purple ones the next day. The freezing makes it turn purple. The cold weather makes it turn purple. So we took the yellow ones, put them in the refrigerator, and they all turned purple. And we figured they're all Lavandula. Something, stuff like that. You just learn. So I agree with that. It's October, so it probably got cold then. That's why we're seeing the purple. Out there, I think so. Pretty small. Gradient's probably right. Skip some. Drought spots. Chicken fat, we see the orange.
Has anybody in the crowd ever tried to peel the cap on those chicken fat mushrooms? It is impossible. Feel free to unmute yourself and type in, but that is of the strangest, weirdest things that I've tried to peel the chicken fat mushrooms, and I haven't found a method. They're just not worth it. They are supposed to be edible, and Mike Henry will not eat them. Does that give you a good indication that they may not be worth it? Almost blue and tingly.
That's the reticulation on the top. Sometimes on the subcellulosins, once in a while, faintly gets blue on the pores. You don't see that, but it has a nice dark reticulation, dark stem, conifer. I think that's it. It's one of my favorite edibles. I like this better than the king bolete. It's definitely a better edible than blue sedulous, I think.
Mm.
October 11th. Freezing blue. Yeah. Then I would look like a lentinus. I might look for sawtooth gills, and we see them. One of those ones. I want to come back to that, but it's definitely lentinus. Americanus. Yellow. A lot of pictures, a nice picture. I can see it good enough. I'm looking at polypores. I was trying to do a lot of polypores yesterday and blow them up and see if they had pores or teeth. And some of them pictures are too blurry, but this one I can see good. Crack cap. You can tell it's on a locust tree.
John, go back to that one for just a brief second. Go to the second picture. See how really, like that's a really, really great, easy one to know that you're looking at a locust. Sometimes when you're zoomed in a little bit too much and you're only looking at the mushroom, it's harder. I know a locust bark really, really easily, but locusts are one that just jump out in the woods. And most of the time you can identify the tree by the cracked caps faster than you can do the cracked caps by the tree. But yeah, I was going to say that one's, taking that additional picture. Thank you very much, Isaac. That's a great one to use as an example. If I go back to that hairy bracket, do they have pictures of the hairs? Yeah, see, this is where like one more picture. Yeah, there they are right up at the top, but zoom in, get that extra picture. Yeah, I would probably err on the side of, yep, that's it. But knowing and seeing those hairs is what's a key identifier, at least when I'm the one doing the identification. I'll leave John to his personal
Yeah,
discretion.
I'm gonna skip that for now. I'm gonna look at, I've got the new Polypore book. I just want to take a look at it a little better.
Sure. John, not to interrupt you, but I was going to say we have about 15 minutes left. Do you want to jump to Marlene's or Teresa's? Because they both had put their names in the chat.
Okay, let's do that. And then I can hit them afterwards. Filters. All right, what's it?
M-S-T-R-E
M what?
S-T-R-E-G-E.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Yep. Is that you, Marlene? Okay, sounds good. Nice thumbs up. Thanks for leaving your camera on.
California again. NCI. Could be. I think it is. I think we got Friends and we got Cicadas, and the one has a dark black sport print, and the other one's just more dark. Cicadas, I think, has a black, but I can't tell the difference. Looks good enough. Skip over a couple California. Let me go to the filters real quick.
For those of you that have put yours in the chat for today, I'm gonna help out John by sending these to him on his Facebook Messenger so that he can quick jump into those IDs and finish working on these as the day progresses. But at the same time, thank you again for sticking your hand up and being willing to volunteer.
Yeah, we'll get them all done.
Yeah.
All right, so I got Pennsylvania. Saprillas, yeah. 3. Those agree. Oh, sometimes I'm thinking, I know the book calls it gelatinosum, but I think, I'm trying to think, sometimes it's hard to remember when you don't see stuff often. I think it might have it, we're calling our North American stuff by a different name now, but I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't want to do that now because that might take me half an hour to get out the stuff. Wow, that's cool. It's got another mushroom. I think long stalk carry stem. Little pin cups. Purplish gills. Yellow pounds. I don't see this one often too. That's a pretty nice vibe. The maze. A lot of times this one bruises pink. I'll use that to help, but I can tell it is. What's this one's? Fox Chapel. Okay. Well, what surprised me that the club learned, we used to call this Leucofolia decorosa, and I thought, that's the only one. And I've never heard of another species. And if you look at the Cook's Forest finds and you put DNA and you put Cook's Forest, we're getting a different species that looks just like this, but it's a different Leucofoliota, and it goes by a different name. I don't know how to tell the two apart yet. A lot of times we'll notice that, and we just got to figure out if there's a way that sometimes there isn't, sometimes there is. I'm going to agree with this, but it could be wrong. But I don't think we got any ones from Pittsburgh identified as the other species. But if you look at Cook's and DNA stuff, there's a couple ones that we call decorosa that are not. China. Camera up.
Another really fun feature in iNat, for those of you that are attempting to learn Latin better, I'm really surprised that John has his iNat set to English as its primary with the scientific name as the secondary. I figured out how to do that and split it. John, can you go back to that white cheese. See if they've got any pictures of the split one, because that one's in Fox Chapel, so chances are, yeah, that's the normal white cheese. As you get up towards Cook Forest, and John had just said this, there's another one that's like Trianomyces galactica. Is that the right word?
Yeah,
Am I saying
darker in
that
the
correctly?
center and
Right, right. Yeah, there's another one as you get up towards Cook Forest on that one. But yeah, there's a way to set it. So those of you that are trying harder to learn your Latin can flip your iNat so that it's primarily Latin with the common name not as emphasized. And it works both ways, but it really does help you learn that Latin faster.
sometimes I've been known, like now I'm taking a good look at them. Sometimes I've been known to go in the main screen and just go down, but it's hard to tell. On some things, you have to skip them unless you blow them up. Pear-shaped puffball, there's no wood. This one grows on this one's parasitic on black jelly roll. Exidia, I can't see the black jelly roll, but I'm sure that's what it is. See if we can see a black jelly roll. Sometimes you can see a little bit of the black sticking around the edge. Stick the pea. Skills. Russell Mictica. I think it's probably not a Mictica. I think a Mictica, when I read about it, it only grows in like sphagnum moss, is what I read one time about it. And I don't see a bog. If it had sphagnum moss, I just click agree, but since it doesn't, I'm going to agree with Julie to say Russula. I might be able to recognize 50 species of Russula. There's just too many. I think Brian Hunt's keeping track, and forget what he said in the state of Indiana. They have over 200 species of red cap russulas. You need a microscope and then some to try to identify these things.
Yeah, but kudos to Marlene for showing off the peeling of the cap. That's another identifying feature
Yeah,
on
that's the key.
those rooslets. And I was gonna say kudos to you for throwing that in there as an extra picture, because that's of the identifying thing. And Marlene, I don't know if you ended up getting a reagent kit that we built last year. But those are really great to work through with the roostlets as well.
Where would you recommend buying those kits that you're talking about?
I was gonna say, we'll have them at the next meeting. Whenever we have, yeah, I was gonna say they're $15. Don't hesitate to tap me. I usually have at least one on me. And then if you go onto our website, you can do the whole, you can look at my whole slide deck from last Mushroom Education Day. And learn some things. And really fun little tidbit in there. We have a new member that joined in October that is a student at Pitt. So it'll be interesting to see what we learn about reagents from Pitt. Just reagents in general, not necessarily reagents in relationship to mushrooms, but they're coming back to us with really great information on reagents in general.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one I'm looking at, it sort of does have the purple like lavandula, but the scales are too big. Not sure which species, but I agree it's not lavandula. It's got a lot of them. It has a dark edge on the ring too. I should probably know that 'cause that's a distinctive feature, but I can't think of what it is. The cargo, it's one of them. The Lotus Americanus. Now I used to call, I gotta rethink my Trichaptum IDs. I might be wrong on a lot of my IDs anymore on Trichaptum because we're always learning. And I can tell you there's at least 7 or 8 species of Trichaptum. And I used to say, what I learned from the people in Montreal and Quebec was when they taught me the other one, I caught them if they were growing like on cherry trees around here, and smaller ones I caught by formy. And if they were growing on poplar trees around here, and the fruit bonnets used to look maybe 3 times as big, or at least twice as big as the average by formy. I
Hmm.
call it like Tricheptum, some Tritaceum. There's a couple different ones. But now people are telling me I have to look at some DNAs that the ones on cherry trees, which I think this is really not by formy. It's really Tricheptum, some Tritaceum. But I'm gonna have to do a little more research before I get this straightened out a little in my head, and how we can field test them.
I have been wondering about that because I did notice there are multiple ones that to me look kind of the same.
That's what I call it in the past. I'm just gonna call it that
Yeah.
because I need to look it up more.
And that's one of the big things is iNaturalist really is morphological. It's heavily morphological. So in that you're not going to get, we don't have fields yet for, that for sure once it's gotten a DNA, observation, like automatically, like, the DNA trumps everybody else's comments. That feature hasn't been added yet. Yeah, and we just have to, go, okay, technology is advancing. So. John, we have about 4 minutes left. Do you want to switch to Teresa's?
Okay, let's switch one.
A couple of them. She's
Oh.
T critter.
Thank you.
All right, let's switch.
TCRITTER.
TR what? I?
TCRI.
Wait, I got say it again.
T
T.
C.
Wait, CT.
No, TC.
Let me get my volume up here. All right, go ahead.
TC.
Wait, I'm getting. Let me hold this by my head. Okay, go ahead.
How about if I put it in the chat for you? Would that make it easier?
Okay. That. All right.
It's in the chat. It's TCRITTER. T critter.
TCR.
RITT. Yep. There I am.
There she is.
There we go. Let me get rid of this. I can close that. Golden ear. A lot of people call this, depending on what they're growing on stereo. That might be more right than what I usually call them. It probably is, but I gotta study those up a little more. I can just tell by the cap color it's Tremendous versicle. I don't even gotta look at the pores. The woods.
Yep.
That's weird. They can be gray, they can be yellowish, they can be brown, they can vary a lot. Yeah. Number of species. And one grass looks good. White, I see a white spore print underneath, so this has to be armillaria. Armillaria. Spore print, not rust. There we go. Wood. Goes. I gotta go to Philadelphia. I'm gonna go to Philadelphia much of my. You got a nice club out there.
Teresa, you live in the Pittsburgh area though, correct? Yeah, okay.
Yep, that.
Although I have a bunch from Maryland because my kids live down there, but I don't put them in the Western PA group. But I have some mushrooms that are down there that someday, though, that I'd eat.
I understand. I plan to do some when I'm out in Denver. in Virginia this year, so.
Oop, I lost it.
So John, I'm gonna leave you to continue
Okay.
with Teresa's, just not to interrupt you, because I did send those to you
Yeah,
over in what's it called? The thing, but I'm gonna go ahead and steal your screen while you're still
Yeah.
working.
yeah, good, take it.
Yep. Share. There. Ah, who said wrap it up? I'm sorry, he's just too cute. I can't remember what movie that's from. I bet you Joy knows. Joy's one of those movie buffs. So again, like, please, please, please make sure you join our project. If you need coach, do not hesitate to reach out. Like, I can happily jump into a short meeting with you and work through how to get these things. And do it in the batch method, because it does really save you a ton of time. But using the desktop version of iNaturalist is exponentially better for your brain than doom scrolling. I was going to say, I keep my laptop in the living room just so that I'm not tempted to doom scroll from my phone. Know that if you want to submit your ticket for a button, I'm going to stop sharing this, and I want to really go through this one step for you. Give me one second, hit stop share and bring another screen in here. And then I'm going to get back to sharing and get this back up onto my screen. Here. And you go to my iNet. Make sure that I'm logged in. And let me pick one. I'll show you a quick trick. I'm going to my profile, and I'm going to pick on somebody here in the meeting, but you can see that I'm currently following 68 people. And I'm going to pick on Jessica because she's a friend, and I know that I can pick on her and she'll just pick back at me another day, another time. But if I wanted to select on her profile and see how many observations she has out there, I can go to filters, mushrooms, research grade. And then you can hit update search if you don't have to. I'm going to kick it over here, but I can see that Jessica has 153 species that are research grade. If I select that exact hyperlink at the top, that's what I want to go back here and send to Julie. So I would send an email to button ID at westernpennsylvaniamushroomclub.org and, write her a quick little note that says, hey, Julie, I'd really like to be, oops. What did I just hit there? I did not hit slideshow. Let me go back to slideshow. There we go. That you're really interested in being an identifier for the club. So all you do is, you send her a quick little email that says, hey, Julie, this is where I'm at. And then send her that URL, because that saves her some time. She knows how to do it, but at the same time, it gives her, a quick link to knowing who you are. If you want to, and that's just to get a button. If you want to become an identifier for the club, there's a little bit longer process to that. That goes to a board meeting. The board discusses a couple of other things. Primarily, it's how much you are an outgoing individual and are willing to teach and talk to people during club walks. And whether or not maybe you have the background to do that. There's a whole lot of people that are just not interested in hosting meetings or hosting walks. They're more introverted, or they just, they have a heavy work schedule, and they're going, no, I'm perfectly happy with just being, just getting my button updated. So in that, just know that those options are out there and available to you, and that's the quick way to get that. If you want to be a club mycologist, you really need to have, 500 research grade observations above and beyond, really be an outgoing individual that's willing to teach, do things. And that then goes to the other mycologists within the club, and they come to a consensus. as to whether or not that individual is ready to be someone that the Western Pennsylvania Club is happy to have represent us. In that, this is really important. If you're an identifier for our club, it is not the same that does identifications on iNet. So if you know Turkey Tails, by all means, hop in there and say, oh, good, you know, this is my best friend, and I'm going to pick on Rachel Gallagher because she's one of my mushroom besties. And, you know, I very easily knew that Rachel and I were hiking at the same day at the same time. She was working towards a button. I was working towards a button, various buttons. And we know that it's fall and John's swamped. You know, help each other out. You know, Isaac and Marlene, I've picked on 100 times during this meeting today, but you guys are right next to each other. If you've been in California, you have really good identifiers that are out there hiking with you that same day, and you feel like you can trust what Isaac put on his iNet and what Marlene put on her iNet, you can verify each other's. There's nothing stopping you from the iNaturalist perspective. And this is of the reasons why the club, whenever we're doing the Button ID program, we have someone like Julie that goes back and says, I'm going to spend a couple minutes. I'm going to look really hard at your observations. If you barely are skimming, you know, 148 observations, we would prefer you get just a few more research grade observations out there, as opposed to jumping in early and having somebody doing walks and hosting things that isn't the same way. And we used to do it that you could submit a spreadsheet or a handwritten list, and that just really got to be tedious. iNaturalist has given us this fantastic means to go about doing these. So we really want to take advantage of the technology that we have. And for those of you that are really feeling very, very confident with iNaturalist, know that they actually have an identify on iNaturalist how you can help. You can actually follow iNaturalist on YouTube and become an ambassador similar to myself. I tend to be a little crazy in the head and do a whole bunch of things that I don't necessarily need to do, but it fills my days and my nights. And those of you that haven't heard through the rumor mill, Dawn is going to be a grandma this summer. So maybe I won't be out there doing stuff for you guys as often once I have a grandbaby to spoil. So real quick comment here. Don't forget that it's membership renewal time. I do believe you will be getting an email blast later on this afternoon from me. You know, reminding you if you don't, those of you that have already renewed your membership, you've already gotten that email. So some of you are, you know, don't even need to renew your membership. I think we had about 67 people that had already renewed. But you get monthly meetings, you get really, really cool things, like mushroom kits from our annual cultivation meeting. Obviously the newsletters, which are ridiculously invaluable and concise and really help us keep moving. Advance notice of mushroom walks and other local, regional, national events. There's quite a few of us that like going to those national and regional events. The photo contest, and I didn't put a little bullet statement on there. One of the added bonuses this year is the costume contest has gone over so well. We're going to be doing a costume contest again this year. The Facebook group, and then I did throw a quick little note that the membership dues had increased. Last couple of comments before we take questions and answers, because I think we've covered quite a few during the meeting. Currently we are in the Winter Continental Myco Blitz, which is odd for those of us, but if you can go out there and get some mushroom popsicles this week, don't hesitate to collect those for DNA and send those into the Continental Myco Blitz. Because we are supposed to get rain, I think, effective Tuesday, so all kinds of things will thaw out. Go find those slippery elms and get your Flammy Alita Beluta piece. And then coming up, we have the Strip District Walk, which is of our really ridiculously hysterical and really, really fun events to get together. Coming up in February on the 21st. We'll meet near Wally's and then, you know, hike together along the Strip District looking for what we can find in the stores. And then we already do have our permit done for the Winter Tree ID/Chaga Walk. I can't emphasize enough that that is out in Somerset County. So get together with a couple of your mushy friends and plan to carpool out to that one. It's a lot of fun, and usually by around March 21st, we're getting warm enough to spend a day outside together. And then just a quick wrap up. John, those of you that had mentioned in the chat, I've already sent those over to John, and we are so grateful for all the things that he does for our club. But message him through Facebook Messenger or the messaging feature with iNet. Because you get so many emails from me throughout the year, also, please don't hesitate to just hit a reply, to any one of your meeting things and say, hey, can you look at my iNet, or can you start following me? I'm working towards a button, and I would really appreciate somebody giving a look at, this mushroom or that mushroom, or looking at your whole account, like Teresa, Isaac, Marlene, and Marissa had done during the course of the meeting. We are really, really happy to help you out. Does anybody else have any other questions? I'm looking back at the chat here because I know I saw a couple pop up. But feel free to unmute and voice any additional questions. If that is it, I am going to go ahead and stop sharing and wish you all a wonderful and happy Sunday. And can't wait to see you guys all again in the spring. I think the first real walk we have going on that I've heard of so far. Oh, Mike or John, help me out. Where is that at? Is it the Lodge out at the Ridge out in Blairsville? They're doing a tree ID walk.
Pine Ridge.
Pine Ridge. Thank you. That's what it was. Pine Ridge. I was going to say April 11th is that first walk. That I'm aware of. I won't be surprised to see that one, and obviously the one at what do you call it coming up, Gallitzin, the Chaga Walk. Those are of the first ones, but that one we're going to do kind of as a Morels 101 walk, for those of you that are out looking for Morels early in April. Sounds good. Have a great Sunday, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.